Hi, I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my channel where we talk about all my quilty stitchy things. This is my weekly update, number 19. Today is June 3rd, 2023. Last week I said it was 2022. I was a year behind, but I think I got it right today. Now, this is where I talk about everything that I've done, worked on, completed during the week. Now, usually to get started, I have a previous quilt hanging behind me. However, I'm going to skip that today because I got about 6 different quilts to hang up and show you. And my husband appreciates that because he's the one that usually hangs this up for me. Unless he's not available, and then I'll get my son to do it. But let's get started. This is the first quilt that I quilted on the long arm this week. This was a tutorial from Missouri Star called the Dresden Coin Quilt, and it's because those little blades are cut from a Dresden template, and then they're just stacked up. Now, when I quilted it, I used a paisley pantograph because it's got some paisley prints in it. So let's take a look at that a little closer. So there's a good look at the pantograph, that little motif of the paisley. There we go. And I'll grab it and flip it over for the back. And that's the backing I chose for it. So that's the first quilt I quilted on the long arm. I do have another quilt that I quilted on the long arm, which I'll put that up in a minute. Now the next quilt is actually my mom's quilt that I quilted for her. But before we get in that, I forgot to mention, I am still going to do that 500 subscriber giveaway when I get to 500 subscribers. At the time of this recording, I am at 494. So I just need 6 more subscribers. And what I'm going to give away is a Fat Quarter Shop gift card for $50. So I just need those 6 more subscribers. So be sure to watch those weekly updates. And when I hit that 500, we'll be doing a giveaway. All right, let's move on to the next quilt. Now this is the next quilt I quilted this week. Now this is my mom's quilt, so it's not my quilt. Now this is an alphabet quilt who has the different alphabet letters in those squares. And I quilted it with an alphabet pantograph. Well, it just has the ABCs and some stars in it, but we'll take a closer look at it. So here's a closer look at the quilting, and there's the letter B, C, and a star. We got the A, the B, and the C. And the different little squares have the alphabet going in order. There's Q, there's M, there's another B right there that I quilted. All right, let's take it over and look at the back. And because I used a creamy thread on the back of this with a red backing, that quilting really stands out on the back. Let's flip it over. So there's all that quilting. Now since it's the back, it is kind of reversed. Alright. Now that's the second quilt that I quilted on the long arm. And Mom's already binded it around the edges. Now, I also completely finished, meaning I did the binding, on 4 different quilts this week. So let's take a look at those. Now this is the first quilt that I put the binding on this week. Now this was a pattern that I actually got from a shop hop from Ship Shawana back in 2017. So we'll go in, take a look at the quilting and stuff. So here's a look at that quilting, and I quilted it with a Petalism pantograph. And I had shown this on some previous updates, and on the backing, I cut the backing a little close. But when I got it quilted and bound, it all works out. It's all hidden. So we'll flip it over and take a look at that back. There's the backing. Can't really see too much of the quilting on the back. There's that label. Oops. Got some stray threads there. But it's all done. So this is the second quilt I put the binding on this week. And this is my husband's Stonehenge quilt. So we'll bring it in, take a closer look at everything. So here we are, and I used that orange fabric for the binding. And the quilting has that swirly pattern in it. And we'll flip it over, take a look at the back. Whoops. There's the back. And we have a label. So this is the next quilt that I put the binding on this week. So this is number 3 for bindings. We'll take a closer look. So there is those snowflake pantographs that I'd quilted on it again. And the blue binding. We'll flip it over and take a look at the label in the back. And I had just used, oops, sorry, that snowflake pantograph, white backing. There's the label. Now, when I was having my husband hang this up, he told me that he was on strike from his job of hanging this up and that he had to go stand somewhere else in the picket line, so I couldn't find him. So hopefully I can talk him into hanging up the next one. So I did find my husband. He was hiding under steps. So I got him to put the last quilt up. Now this is a king size quilt. And again, this is the 4th quilt I did the binding on this week. Now this pattern was called Ribbons and Bows by Jackie Robinson. And it was in a quilt magazine I had, which is the October-November 2009 issue number 104. And when I had quilted this, because I had also showed this on previous weekly updates about my quilting, I had quilted it that had like some Christmas trees and reindeers on it. So we'll take a closer look at everything. Here we go. So there's a reindeer right there. Trying to see if you can see a Christmas tree. There's a Christmas tree right there. And the binding I put on it was a green and white striped binding. So this is a pretty big quilt. And I'll flip the back over so you can take a look at the backing and the label. Woo! There's a Christmas tree that's popped out. And a reindeer. Let's see if I can get the label. There's that label. Sorry about if there was a weird pause. My mom was trying to call me. Okay, so those are all 4 of the quilts that I put a binding on this week. Now, what else did I work on? I worked on 2 of my Cotton Cuts gnomes. I worked on the boy gnome, accent one. So I'm hoping sometime this week I'll be able to get the other 2 blocks done. Then, let's see. I worked on last week. I had pulled this out. Said I was going to cut it, but I hadn't had a chance. So I did. I got that all cut out. And my pieces are pinned and ready to sew. So I did that. And then I sewed, but I haven't pressed or pinned on one of my, well, 2 of my Creative Notions projects. Just gotta find what I'm doing here. There it is. So this Creative Notions subscription box had a sewing machine mat, and I didn't want to make it. But it also had this block of the month in here. So I decided I would use the fabrics and start making these blocks of the month and put them in a quilt. So here's where I am. I've got those sewn all together in my chain piecing that I leave like this until after I press. And then I'll start pinning them together into like a pinwheel. So I sewed all of those. Just need to press that. And then I worked on this Creative Notions wall hanging. And I'm just sewing borders on this panel. There we go. This is the side border. Just gonna sew the top and bottom border onto this big panel. Now, in with this kit, it came with some paper and stuff that you can run through a printer and put pictures on, and then you put it on fabric. You make like these little fabric things you can stick all over here. I'm not quite sure I'm going to do that. I might try it, see how it works. But I haven't used my inkjet printer in a long time, so I'm not sure that's going to work because you have to have an inkjet printer for it. So we'll see. But even if I don't do those pictures to put on, I can still put this together and fold it and just use it as a wall hanging. Okay, I made it through. That's everything that I worked on as far as sewing and quilting. Now, let's talk about my cross stitch. Now this is the cross stitch chart that I'm working on. So I had just started doing this little tree section right here last week. So this week I'll show you where I'm at. And again, this is on 16 count Aida, and I'm using 817 DMC. And I'm using a lot of it. Unrolling it. So here we are. This is where we were last week. I think I was like just about over here. So I finished all of this. And we're starting down here. So again, it's going to be a long piece. I'm getting close to the end. And then I'll finish on the other side. With that being said, my Stitch Quarterly from Fat Quarter Shop subscription is being shipped. So when I get that, I think I might take a break from this and do that and then go back. Or I might at least finish this piece and then do it. And then come back to finish the other one. We'll see. Now, crochet. I make such a mess with these weekly updates. I literally have stuff like everywhere. And then in the middle of when I was trying to record, my mom called and she had some questions about a quilt pattern. So I got some other stuff out to try and help her. So then I've added to the mess. It's quite interesting. Now, let's work on my crochet. So this is what I've been working on, this sweater, which is the orange marmalade sweater from Curvy Girl Crochet Book. So, here. So I sewed up the sides, and here's my sleeves and the neck hole. I think I made the neck hole a little small. I should have left it open, but that's okay. So I've got the front and back and side all seamed together. And then what I'm working on now is the ribbing that goes along the bottom. So there we are. Put that all at the bottom there when it's done. And that'll be my sweater. We're getting close. It's getting close. Now, one more thing to show you. This is where I am on my diamond painting. We're getting close to being done. So that's everything I've worked on this week. Join me next week and see what I managed to do throughout this week. Also, I will be putting another trunk show out this week. And hopefully I can get some more gnomes done. And hopefully my husband has decided to come off the picket line and stay employed by me. Although I can't afford to give him any more money. But, you know, we'll see. Till next time. Bye.